welcome back. In this Black Excellist presentation, we will give you the highlights of the Instagram Live Verzuz battles.
Welcome to blackexcellist.com, the site where we share Black excellence, opulence, and affluence. Our mission is to inspire you as we enlighten you.
Throughout quarantine, when live shows and festivals were sidelined due to COVID-19, Swizz Beatz and Timbaland were able to craft and curate what is now known as the cultural phenomenon called the Verzuz Battle. This is a digital playlist battle turned ongoing series where two prominent producers or artists pair up on Instagram Live to compete to see who has the best catalog. The rules have evolved, but as it stands now, each battle goes 20 rounds, with each contestant playing one of their biggest or favorite hits, sometimes giving context or a story behind it. In spite of these technical issues in the very early stages of the concept, Verzuz has been able to transform drab weekends and weeknights into highly anticipated quarantine entertainment. It has been amazing to eyewitness such a fascinating digital format restore a spirit of friendly competition to the hip-hop and R&B music arena while giving fans something to look forward to while trapped in our homes during a global pandemic. We applaud Swizz Beatz and Timbaland for expanding the roster and genre of the competitions while taking feedback from the online viewers to help Verzuz grow into a cultural and commercial success. We have really been blessed to feel like we are hanging out in the room with some of the most revered names in the Black music industry as they show off their discographies and enlighten us on how much of their artwork is crafted. In this original Black Excellist video, we will give you the rundown and the winners of each Verzuz battles. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Swizz Beatz vs. Timbaland. At the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, as states issued lockdown and stay-at-home orders, Timbaland and fellow rapper-producer Swizz Beatz plotted out a revival of an idea they conceived years earlier. In 2018, the two pioneering producers battled hit for hit on stage at Hot 97's Summer Jam, highlighting songs they had produced for megastars in the music industry. And now in 2020, during this pandemic, they thought that it may be perfect timing to leverage the technology behind Instagram Live for a golden opportunity. In one corner, we have Bronx-spawned Swizz Beatz, who has crafted many chart-topping hits for DMX, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Eve, and T.I. He burst onto the scene in the late 90s with the flurry of heavy hitters featuring his steely sound with its rattling snares and dramatic orchestration that graced chart-topping hits by the most elite artists in the hip-hop and R&B ethos. In the other corner, we have Virginia-born Timbaland, who also rose to prominence in the 1990s, producing a series of hits for artists in both hip-hop and pop. Over the ensuing years, his trademark sound with its quirky and mechanical hooks laid the groundwork for hits by Missy Elliott, Jay-Z, Jodeci, Usher, Genuine, Boyz II Men, and Justin Timberlake. Here is a summary of the battle. Timbaland first called out Swizz on Instagram, and Swizz perceived the call-out as the bat signal for an online digital battle. The Grammy Award-winning producers went toe-to-toe with thousands glued to their smartphone screens in a showdown that lasted more than 5 hours. Timbaland's songs consisted of more complex beats with several layers and instruments, while Swizz is a wild card, willing to play parts no one with better chops would dare. They both dug deep into their catalogs, playing their favorite songs and most cherished collaborations. The Instagram audience, including fans and other celebrities, went wild in real time, talking to the artists and responding to each track. The depth of each of their catalogs made this battle a war of attrition. They matched each other song for song, artist for artist, and the rest is history. Right before the eyes of music lovers and fans alike, the Verzuz battle was born. As far as a winner, we give this Verzuz battle to the culture because hip-hop fans worldwide were the true winners here. The way Verzuz has gathered people and created a shared online community around it has been phenomenal. What started out as an old idea and a friendly competition has now evolved into an extremely popular digital battle and lucrative brand that is 100% Black-owned. Number 2, Boy Wonder versus Hit Boy. Rap fans knew they were in for a treat when Hit Boy and Boy Wonder squared off for the second Verzuz IG Live showdown, but they didn't expect to hear unreleased music from Drake and Roddy Ricch, Nas, and a track from Big Sean in the late Nipsey Hussle. In one corner, we have Boy Wonder. Toronto's Boy Wonder is Drake's longtime producer and has worked with him since his 2007 debut mixtape. The catalog also includes Eminem's Hot 100 topper, Not Afraid, and scorchers with everyone from Rick Ross to Rihanna. In the other corner, we have Hit Boy. Best known for drums that pop like bombs, West Coast rapper and producer Hit Boy has scored songs by Jay-Z, Kanye West, B, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and Nicki Minaj. Here is a summary of the battle. The Toronto producer and the beatsmith from San Bernardino, California, both ran through their production credits, while viewers weighed in on their favorites. This seemed like an even matchup until everyone realized just how endless Boy Wonder's stash of Drake classics is. Hit Boy applied pressure with his big radio records, but Boy Wonder had an answer for almost every one of them. Furthermore, Hit Boy seemed to be trying to push Boy Wonder out of his comfort zone, which seemed like a solid strategy, but it kind of backfired on Hit Boy in the end. He pulled a few too many of his biggest hits too early, and that cost him in the back half of the battle when Boy Wonder locked in, playing 10 years worth of Drake hits. Both producers reached deep into their catalogs to show off some of their best work, but it was the songs that haven't been officially added to their catalogs that became the true talk of the show. As far as a winner, we give this Verzuz battle to Boy Wonder, who gets the win for surprising fans with 2 unreleased Drake songs, one of which features rap breakout star Roddy Ricch. Number 3, The Dream versus Sean Garrett. This was an eccentric battle between 2 Atlanta-based hitmakers and songwriters. In one corner, we have The Dream. He's a successful performer in his own right who helped craft loads of hits including Beyonce's Single Ladies, also known as Put a Ring on It, Mariah Carey's Touch My Body, and even memorable songs of his own like Falsetto. In the other corner, we have Sean Garrett. He's the powerhouse co-writer and producer of memorable singles like Beyonce's Ring the Alarm, Usher's Yeah, and Ciara's Goodies. Here is a summary of the battle. Sean Garrett kinda blew the first hour. He not only showed up late, but he started throwing personal verbal jabs at The Dream in what many explain as a state of inebriation. All the while, The Dream took advantage and earned solid points in the early rounds. Garrett finally got himself together and the super producers went back and forth with their respective hits, matching each other song for song. Garrett tried to pull off a Rocky by eating punches in the early round and staging a comeback in the later rounds, but The Dream pulled out the knockout punch by showing off the demo version of Jay-Z's Holy Grail, with himself on the hook instead of Justin Timberlake. As far as a winner, we give this Verzuz battle to The Dream in a battle that could have gone either way. Sean Garrett's antics cost him the fight. Number 4, Neo versus Johnta Austin. These 2 critically acclaimed R&B singer-songwriters went head-to-head in what is considered one of Verzuz' classic matchups. The battle restored order, civility, and chivalry into the IG Live battle that was plagued by personal attacks and annoying antics in the previous showdowns. The contest started out in a state of harmony when Austin tweeted out the event's ground rules and his personal admiration of Neo. In one corner, we have Johnta Austin. Johnta's catalogs featured radio hits that he credited as a songwriter for Bow Wow, Ciara, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, and Mariah Carey. His portfolio fills out the picture of a bygone era of wholesome 106 & Park countdowns and carefree rhythmic contemporary radio fare. In the other corner, we have Neo. This multi-talented R&B megastar gained fame for his songwriting abilities when he penned his 2004 hit Let Me Love You for singer Mario. The single's successful release led to his signing of a recording contract with Def Jam, which led to the artist topping the Billboard charts, winning Grammy Awards, and selling millions of records. The 2.5-hour-long R&B songwriter battle turned out to be a blessing for music lovers. Those unfamiliar with Atlanta-based songwriter Austin were quickly informed the man co-wrote multiple mega hits with Mariah Carey. Ne-Yo used his own hits like So Sick and Sexy Love before using classics he wrote for other people, like Just Be a Man About It by Toni Braxton. Both songwriters cherry-picked their best material, for the most part, although Johnta could have applied pressure with a few more platinum Mariah joints. Some fans feel that Austin took the win. Others argue that Ne-Yo may have edged out the victory in the end. But this one is better appreciated as a 2000s nostalgia playlist than a formal beat battle. Once it was over, Ne-Yo said they both won. What's certain is that this Instagram Live battle was legendary, as over 77,000 fans tuned in to see the songwriters try to outdo each other with their epic tracks. As far as a winner, we judge this versus battle as a draw. Johnta sipping wine in a suit and looking peacefully unbothered, while Ne-Yo offers some light, gentlemanly trash talk was Instagram gold. Number 5. Mannie Fresh versus Scott Storch. At the time, people questioned whether this particular matchup made sense. While both individuals are legends in their own right, Fresh has regional notoriety, while Storch's discography is more mainstream and spans across genres. But to give the odd matchup a little context, this versus battle was originally planned to be a head-to-head battle between Storch and T-Pain. Swizz Beatz has since admitted that the matchup was a bit off, so we may see these two titans return for a future versus with better matchups. In one corner, we have Mannie Fresh. Mannie is a southern rapper hero, best known as the architect of the Cash Money sound. In the 90s, he produced the early Lil Wayne, Juvenile, Big Timers, BG, and Hot Boys albums in full, making beats essentially from scratch. As the architect of the Cash Money sound, Fresh forced the mainstream rap world to take a regional movement seriously. In the other corner, we have Scott Storch. Storch started out as a member of The Roots, but rose to prominence on the strength of his contributions to Beyonce, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Fat Joe, and Chris Brown. Storch's story is a complicated one that devolved in a cautionary tale about addiction, overspending, and squandering $70 million, only to claw his way for a lukewarm comeback. Here is a summary of the battle. Both producers threw a bunch of haymakers from their best beat-thumping portfolios, which included both classics as well as a few newer songs. Mannie soured the crowd though, with all of the personal attacks, tasteless cheap shots, and unnecessary skits. But Storch played it cool and even offered a perfect counter. You got a lot of skits, but not too many hits. Storch pummeled Mannie with an endless barrage of smash hits, and things only got uglier deep into the later rounds. Mannie showed some signs of life, but his sound may have been too specific to its era and to the South. As far as a winner, we give this battle to Scott Storch, who won in what most of the 200,000 spectators would call a bloodbath. Mannie really didn't stand a chance to Storch's versatility. Furthermore, the age gap in their catalogs played a major role in the crowd reaction, as Mannie's hits from 99 and 2000 didn't go over so well. Versus plays to a much younger generation, but the moment of truth happened at the second Scott Storch played Still Dre. Once you heard Storch playing the piano riff live on keyboard, it was good night for Mannie Fresh. Once Mannie picked himself up off the mat after regaining consciousness, he showered Storch with genuine gratitude and praise, which was a stark contrast to the tasteless cheap shots he was taking throughout the contest. Number 6. T-Pain versus Lil Jon. This was a battle of two of the biggest innovators in the rap game. T-Pain and Lil Jon almost single-handedly created a movement and a sound entirely of their own. Their sounds are undeniably unique, and their influence reaches far and deep. In one corner, we have T-Pain, who can take sole credit for making auto-tune the wave in rap almost off the strength of records like Buy You a Drink and Can't Believe It. Most of his biggest hits and successful songs he produced were mostly for himself. In the other corner, we have Lil Jon, who brought rowdy Atlanta crunk music to the masses. He has masterfully produced platinum hits for everyone from Usher and Ciara to Pitbull, and yes, T-Pain. Here is a summary of the battle. Lil Jon and Teddy Pendergrass are the yin and the yang of hip-hop radio of the mid-2000s. But when these highly creative artists faced off with their 20 biggest hits and their lively banter, it was less of a vicious battle than it was a beautiful jam session between two mutually respectful contemporaries. T-Pain and Lil Jon went for the kill from the jump, with T-Pain playing his biggest Kanye West collaboration, Good Life, and Jon playing his smash, Get Low, featuring the Yin Yang Twins. From then on, T-Pain focused on playing many of his biggest hits and collaborations, while Lil Jon mixed in some surprising tracks he produced, like Blow the Whistle by Too Short. Lil Jon even kicked things up a notch and surprise debuted a snippet of an unreleased new record with Usher and Ludacris, written by Jermaine Dupri. T-Pain also gave fans a preview of some of his own upcoming music. A fun nostalgic night of back-to-back club hits went haywire when Lil Jon shared his hesitations about vaccines and T-Pain played an R. Kelly song. As for a winner, we give this versus battle to Lil Jon in a very closely matched battle. This one was extremely close, but the King of Crunk's breadth of work is just too wide for T-Pain. Number 7. RZA vs. DJ Premier. The hip-hop culture anxiously anticipated this titanic clash between two of the culture's most dynamic rap producers. It was a song-for-song showdown of the ages, where they played their legendary hits and cherished deep cuts, all while sharing an oral history of how everyone came up in the ranks together. In one corner, we have RZA, the New York native and hip-hop titan who most consider one of hip-hop's all-time greatest producers. He is the de facto leader of the Wu-Tang Clan, who is known for his music production style that includes the use of soul samples and sparse beats. In the other corner, we have DJ Premier, best known for being one half of the rap duo Gang Starr. Primo has worked with a who's who of legendary MCs, from Jay-Z to Nas to Notorious B.I.G. He is responsible for interjecting blues notes and jazz samples into the ruggedly rough terrain of urban hip-hop music. Here is a summary of the battle. After some minor technical difficulties on RZA's side, the two masterminds eventually got things rolling and went head-to-head for 20 rounds of legendary street rap. The legendary producers started off kind of slow, playing more personal favorites than knockout tracks. But towards the later rounds, the two super producers began to serve up the type of heat that the thousands of viewers were expecting. RZA's unique sound was put on display with his gritty sonics, brash funk, and kung fu samples. He came with complete arsenal and prepared for battle, but of course he fit in mostly Wu-Tang Clan songs. RZA's catalog serves as a recipe on how to cook up underground tracks that made their way onto mainstream hip-hop's doorstep in the early 90s. Premier, also a New York Hip-Hop Hall of Famer, dug into the vaults and demonstrated his turntable wizardry, which gave him the ability to create new melodic lines out of pre-existing records. After the main battle, the musical geniuses then blessed us with a lengthy bonus round full of hits they forgot to play. The interaction throughout was less about a battle and felt more like two old friends walking down memory lane, sharing stories, highlighting context behind each track, while giving history lessons around the timeless classics that help build the legacy for what we call hip-hop. As far as the winner, we judged this versus battle as a draw. This one was too close and too historical to get hung up on scoring. The winner is anyone who tuned in to hear the story of New York hip-hop and all of the fans who were able to camp out with the hip-hop royalty who added their own dialogue in the comments. It was refreshing to see the two legends exemplify fraternity and good sportsmanship, something often lost in this current era of competitive rap. Number 8. Teddy Riley vs. BabyFace. The BabyFace-Teddy Riley battle was initially scheduled for April 12th, but the face-off was postponed after BabyFace was diagnosed with coronavirus. They attempted to try again the following Saturday. The Saturday night's main event drew a few 100,000 grown and sexy attendees, all ready and excited, like it was the heavyweight battle of the decade. In one corner, we have BabyFace. The legendary musical genius writes stately, masterful love songs for a long list of clientele that included Whitney Houston, Toni Braxton, Bobby Brown, and Boyz II Men. His solo albums Tender Lover, For the Cooling You, and The Day rank among R&B's finest in any era. In the other corner, we have Teddy Riley. The super producer brought New Jack Swing to the masses in the 80s and 90s, melding hip-hop drums and R&B melodicism for famous collaborators like Bobby, Whitney, Jay-Z, and Michael Jackson. Riley's singing groups Guy and Blackstreet scored classics during what many will consider his peak in his music career. Here is a summary of the battle. Unfortunately, the battle ran into all types of chaos on Teddy's end, which sabotaged the whole first hour of the Saturday event. He was trying to perform with full band, hype man, camera crew, and elaborate stage show for his website while streaming the battle on IG Live. It was in stark contrast of BabyFace's set, where he simply streamed alone with just candles and headphones. Teddy Riley's shenanigans and technical difficulties forced another postponement. The second face-off was hosted on the following Monday. For the rematch, Teddy didn't come with all of the unnecessary cartwheels, but he was still doing way too much. His Wi-Fi kept freezing, and eventually, his phone died. Yes, in the middle of the battle. And it didn't help matters that Instagram had its own technical challenges. The platform's technology wasn't yet perfected to handle the millions of fans who were all scrambling to join the epic live session. Monday's 2-hour battle ended abruptly, but it was only the beginning for Black Twitter, who hilariously and incessantly rolled out memes roasting Teddy for all of his antics. Nonetheless, what the fans and music lovers were able to extract from the brief glimpses of excellence throughout the two events was two powerhouses showcasing their classic records and reminding everyone why they're R&B royalty. The music titans took us through a time machine, going toe-to-toe with timeless hits from the biggest R&B and hip-hop stars in the music industry, as well as hits that they penned for themselves. And while the train was on the verge of derail on multiple occasions, it was impressive to see the ever-patient BabyFace in a red velvet jacket with a glass of red wine, cool as a cucumber. For what it's worth, when Teddy was buckled into his seat and forced to focus 100%, he was actually able to land a few good punches. However, the soft-spoken BabyFace landed the most devastating right hook when he surprised Teddy and delighted the fans by playing "When Can I See You Again" live on his acoustic guitar. As far as a winner, we give this Verzuz battle to BabyFace as the unequivocal winner. At the end of the day, both Teddy and BabyFace's catalogs are so elite that we really can't determine a winner if we're simply judging the music. However, in the context of a Verzuz Instagram battle, BabyFace wins by default due to all of the mayhem that he and the millions of fans had to endure at the hands of Teddy Riley and his team. Number 9, Erykah Badu versus Jill Scott. Wow, what a vibe. This harmonious Verzuz set was appropriately the first battle featuring female artists since it was the Saturday night before Mother's Day. And these two luminaries did not disappoint. Jill Scott and Erykah Badu allowed us to be a fly on the wall as they came together to celebrate the rich musical discographies of two of the most talented Black creators in the music business, male or female. We do not want to desecrate the event and classify it as a battle, although we will stay consistent with the Verzuz terminology. Because this was more of an experience where these two neo-soul artists gave us a tour of their fascinating work, reflecting a distinct confidence and spirituality deeply informed by their Blackness and womanhood. In one corner, we have Erykah Badu, who made her official debut in 1997. Her first single, On and On, had a trippy, jazzy sound that was unlike anything on the radio at the time. She has always been heavily involved in her own production and songwriting. Her debut album, Baduism, that produced multiple top-charting singles, sold nearly 3 million copies and won 2 Grammys. In the other corner, we have Jill Scott, who came on the scene in 2000 with her debut album, Who is Jill Scott? The Philadelphia native established herself as the singer and poet who was just as tough as she appeared earthy. Her debut single, A Long Walk, firmly set her on a trajectory to be a Grammy Award-winning, chart-topping virtuoso that went on to release 8 albums, who would amass impressive acting credits as well. Here is a summary of the battle. While Scott waited for Badu to join her Instagram Live, she played a recording of Nikki Giovanni poetry, which really set the tone for a celebration of music, culture, and Blackness. when the artists connected at 6:20 p.m. They greeted each other warmly and immediately tore down the battle model and built a space for love, affirmation, and sisterhood. The two talented and accomplished queens kicked off the 3-hour experience with Roots' You Got Me, which they both won a Grammy for. Both Badu and Scott were involved in the song's creation. Scott wrote the verses for the chorus, and Badu sang it on the album. Scott followed up with her live performance of the same and let us in on a little secret when the Philly native admitted that it was the first piece of music that she had ever written. From there, Badu played hits like On and On. Scott played Cross My Mind to fulfill late record executive Andre Harrell's request, and they both continued with their 20-song playlist of their own incredible hits, as well as songs that they have written for other artists. The two revealed nuggets about their artistry as well as themselves, with fans watching their every move and listening to every single word. And when Badu's Wi-Fi connection failed for a moment, Scott came through for her by hitting play on the celebrated live version of Badu's song, Tyrone. As for a winner, the true winner in this versus battle is the culture and the audience. The Badu and Scott experience featured a display of mutual respect that was as comforting and soothing as their music. Their session was more a reunion and a Mother's Day celebration than a proper battle. Throughout the night, we were blessed when the singers shared memories and matched vibes with their musical selections. You came away feeling uplifted, which is the mark of top-tier entertainment during this time of uncertainty and quarantining. Number 10, Nelly versus Ludacris. Ludacris kicked things off with his hometown anthem, Welcome to Atlanta, and the hits poured in from there, with Nelly playing Pimp Juice, Ride With Me, and Country Grammar early on. Given how the pair both have multiple #1 hits, some of the biggest song-for-song showdowns included Yeah against Grills and Stand Up against Air Force Ones. Over 500,000 viewership tuned in to enjoy and eyewitness every bit of what this 3-hour battle had to offer, from deep-fried, country-fied classics of their 2000 debuts all the way to their hits of 2013. In one corner, we have Nelly, the pop-rap hitmaker who helped usher in the 21st century with a slew of hits that were perfect party anthems for millennials who were experiencing their formative years in high school and/or college. Nelly's rhymes were simple and catchy. It seems like he literally took nursery rhymes and made them danceable, with infectious melodies and rhythms that won over the most hardcore hip-hop connoisseur. In the other corner, we have Ludacris, whose reign marked a time when hip-hop was transitioning from the New York-influenced golden era of the 90s into uncharted territory. Ludacris was part of the first crop of Southern rappers exposing the mainstream to a sound known as crunk, with its bouncy bass-driven beats, easy-to-chant-along hooks, and his cheeky wordplay and comical concepts. Nelly and Ludacris delivered a battle that sounded like a club night straight out of 2005. The rappers dug deep into their discographies to play their classic tunes, ranging from Nelly's Hot in Her to Luda's Move Chick. Ludacris kicked things off with his hometown anthem, Welcome to Atlanta, and the hits poured in from there, with Nelly playing Ride With Me and Country Grammar early on. Given how the pair both have multiple #1 hits, this battle featured some of the biggest song-for-song showdowns that Verzuz has seen. But when you have Teddy Riley making fun of your Wi-Fi connection in the comments, you know things aren't going good. Nelly really opened up a can of memes with his sketchy Wi-Fi connection that resulted in video quality that was just downright disrespectful. Aside from that, this battle was another case of an artist knowing how to craft a playlist and recognizing what the IG audience wants to hear, which Luda executed to almost perfection. The only questionable song that the Atlanta rapper turned actor played was a new song that referenced R. Kelly. Nelly had some off moments as well, with 2 songs that were hits, but they simply didn't land well with the crowd. As for a winner, we give this versus battle to Ludacris. Nelly's shoddy internet connection made for some hilarious memes, and is enough reason to give the W to Luda in what was a fairly close battle. Nonetheless, this was an awesome celebration of 2 hip-hop titans whose careers surprised many who would not have predicted they would rack up mega hits galore, consistently landed chart-topping singles, or win the amount of Grammy Awards that they did.
We appreciate the fact that you stayed with us until the end. Thank you for spending time with us, and don't forget to like this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss a video. Bye for now. We will see you tomorrow.